clause in the power production sharing agreement, so we had to accept. But now, Uganda is taking another level of having her own money to invest in generation, so that the end user tariff also becomes low, because what you put in generation contributes 60% in the end user tariff. So we are planning to use our money. We used our money on Karuma power plant, which is about Uganda's discovery of commercial oil. We celebrated because we expect to get money for infrastructure, including electricity infrastructure, from the development of our natural resources. So again, with efficiency in terms of climate mitigation issues, on the upstream side, from the petroleum side, we are trying to make sure that we don't do it the way those who have been doing it did it in terms of production. We are producing, we are exploiting our natural resources carefully, taking into consideration climate change issues. We have put laws in place that not allow flaring of gas, for example. We've put laws in place which do not allow venting of gas. And we are planning to use LPG. We have actually started issuing free gas cylinders to our communities to make them adapt usage of LPG instead of using charcoal, so that we save on energy again. So LPG is better than charcoal. We expect to get LPG when we begin production in 2025. That's when we are seeing Uganda's first oil. We are constructing a refinery so that we can get gas, 65,000 tons a day. The refinery is going to refine 60,000 barrels a day from oil from Tilenga, which is going to generate 190,000 barrels, and oil from Kingfisher. I'm talking about this because we believe in integration. One side from petroleum can help the power sector by getting money to work on transmission infrastructure, using good technology that can reduce on the wastage of power, that can improve on efficiency. Because fake technology has been a problem also in many of African countries, where countries have been dumping grounds technology. So we've come up with laws that can make sure that we monitor, working together with the National Bureau of Standards of Uganda, working with us, technologies that can buy. Otherwise, we have potential for thermal, which we are developing. We are going to work with Tanzania on her natural gas. We are praying that what we have planned come true. Under the East African Power Pool, we are exporting power to Kenya. We are also we are exporting power to South Sudan. We are exporting power to Rwanda. We are constructing a transmission line in DRC. The president of DRC worked bilaterally with the president of Uganda, but we are also constructing a big road into DRC because we believe that this will open DRC and will stabilize that place. We have potential for nuclear. We believe in energy integration. We believe in transition. But I will end by encouraging each one of us to try to understand what we mean by a just transition. Those who are suppressing financing of petroleum resources talk about just transition. Us who want to develop and give our own, roadmap also talk about just transition. So what do we mean by a just transition? This has to be discussed also.
Thank you.
A just transition will allow Africa to develop her natural resources sustainably, to work out a transition program so that you transit and you give yourself time frame without injuring the efforts that will let Africa shine. So a just transition needs to be understood in whatever context, but for Africa, we want to be pardoned.
Thank you. Thank you.
We want to be pardoned. I know that you said whether we do whatever we do, we will pay. So we are becoming paymasters. So before we become paymasters, we need to be understood. So I want to end by encouraging all of you to come and invest in Uganda. We have incentives. We have already draft power production sharing agreements. We have already determined the renewable energy feed-in tariff. So when you come to Uganda, you will not spend a lot of time moving around between offices. Come and we help one another to make sure that our people get access to clean energy quickly, because that is the demand.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you. You've heard the advertisement. Uganda is open for energy business. We'll keep echoing that. Thank you so much. We'll now turn to our other panelists. We'll make it short so that we don't eat into the next time. Excellency Papa Samba Ba from Senegal. You heard all the ministers. Africa needs all its resources. You recently discovered some new natural resources for energy. How do you see the transition?
Thank you very much, Dr. Yumkela. And first of all, allow me to thank our dear host, Minister Tarek Mwala, and also the dear ministers of Kenya and Uganda for sharing this panel. My thanks also to the African Commission, Dr. Abu Zaid, and IAA for having this very interesting idea for gathering us to discuss this very important topic. I think the energy transition, talking about energy transition, it was made very clear. It is important to know from where we are starting to transit to where. And the priority of the continent, I think are very clear. And with that, we think that it is time that those 600 million Africans that we are talking about since years and years, since generation and generation, have to be supplied with electricity, with modern and clean energy cooking, so that this could be a history by 2 years, but not something that is always put in the future. It is time that we tackle it, and 900 million people per year. It should be considered huge, but it is nothing, considering to the different challenges that the world may face it during the last year. I think 2 years ago, we faced it with this virus. As a whole, the world was put in place all means, all financial, technical, scientific means in order to face it out. We achieve it. We are here together due to that. So we can achieve it. All together, we can achieve it. By how the financing, the private financing, I think it is, there are some reluctance, even if we achieve to have some electricity or some tools to provide electricity, somehow it is a matter also of paying the bills that will come. So why not taxing the luxury travel or the flight tickets in order to finance such a kind of energy needs? And this is to say that I think in Africa we have to really take into account all the options that we have on the table, and natural gas is one of them. Yes, Senegal made a tremendous discovery of natural gas, about 32 TCF of natural gas. Start the gas by next year with the Grand Tortue Ahmeyim production. And by doing that, we aim also to develop a local, to switch our electricity from heavy fuel oil to natural gas. This has several advantages. The first one being the environment at the COP. It will decrease tremendously the emission, but also it will decrease the cost of production. We have a very high cost of electricity. Electricity is one of the constraints that our economy and our population are facing in their day-to-day life. So this is another point. And this will also help to have enough energy to supply to reach our target of universal access by 2025. Senegal has set up such a target to go to this level. And this is why we need really a particularity at the international level to reach of Africa that need to build on all the options, including financing secure. I think by the end of this COP, it will be very important for Africa to secure that Africa energy transition need natural gas. The figures made it. It is time that is clear. Last year, it was no one dared discuss about fuel or natural gas in Glasgow. A lot of things have changed. Why? A lot of things have changed because there is a war in Europe. The mind has changed. So let's really take this momentum to secure that this is the international way of energy politics need not only to be oriented or to be centered in the Western. It need to take into account the African continent needs, the other part of the continent of the world also needs. It's very important. And the second point, it is to also to make sure that at the international governance there is enough reform to have Africa and others part of the world represented as a permanent secretary. Next week there will be the G20. It is important that Africa will be there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We turn to Shino, Petroleum Commissioner for Namibia. Similar situation, new resources, including hydrogen energy for you. How do you see it? Unfortunately, we have to make it short. Our commissioners and others have another event as well. Over to you.
Thank you very much. For us as a country, we are lucky to be a latecomer, because when you are a latecomer, then you have all the lessons that you can learn from the others. And you can be able to do better and improve on what we have been doing. Africa is known to be in a position where sometimes we are being dictated on what to do with our resources. But I think the time that Namibia is coming, the time that we as a country can be able to learn from the examples of others and be able to improve on where we lack. And because of that, we have, I think it's clear from everyone to know that Africa has been in a crisis for a long time. And this crisis is an energy crisis, and it's a crisis that we as Africans need to be unapologetically be ready to fight so that we can be able to provide a solution. We have had situations before, but this situation has been going on for too long. We have let it to go on for too long, rather than how it should have been. It's really unacceptable that today, as we speak, as we sit here, there are mothers who are unable to feed their children using clean energy. That situation cannot continue for longer. And it's because of that position and that fight for an energy crisis that Namibia, we are going to forge ahead and be able and produce the natural resource, the fossil fuel that we have just discovered in a country. What we are doing right now in order to prepare ourselves for that position is that we are creating a conducive environment so that we can be an attractive destination for investment in fossil fuels within Africa. For Namibia, for us to be able to do that, we have the laws in place. We have been informed that some of our laws are one of the best in the world in terms of renewable or energy resources. But we still want to improve and ensure that capital is attractive, get attracted to Namibia for us to be able to develop these resources. When we are doing that, at the same time, we are also conscious of our contribution to the climatic condition changes. We are conscious of the emissions that we have to produce. And it's because of that that Namibia is one of the countries since 1990, we have already had a law, and we had it enshrined in our constitution that we have to protect our environment. And because of that, we have policies already that ensure that we do it this way. And while we are busy now with appraisal program for those discoveries, the two discoveries that we have, the Venus and the Graph. Once we have done the appraisal work, we are planning to accelerate the development and be able to design a field development program that is conscious of the time that we are dealing with. Conscious that we are dealing with an energy transition, conscious that we have an obligation to decarbonize, conscious that we have an obligation not to vent, conscious that we have an obligation not of the that we need to be energy efficient for us to be able to succeed in developing these resources.
Thank you so much.
Once we are done with that, it's for us to be able to use these resources to industrialize our economy. We have development agendas that are critical for the livelihood of each and every nation, and it's therefore to make sure that we industrialize, and with the revenues that is going to be generated from these resources, it's our objective that through prudent management that we are going to ensure that the resources contribute positively to the economy of Namibia, and that they will also be saving for the future. You know that within the South African region we have an energy poverty, and it's our aim that we are going to end this poverty by using the gas. It's now green, gas is now clean, to be able to produce a gas to power and be able to distribute and share energy within the region and be able to be an energy hub. With the green hydrogen ambition that we have had, with capital that is coming in, there will be infrastructures that are ready. And with that, we are also going to create an environment for all the gas that is going to be produced in the region to take a hinge onto the infrastructure that we have already developed as a country and be able to contribute even to produce then the blue hydrogen so that we can then make energy real poverty in Namibia. As a conclusion, I just wanted to end to say that from the land of the brave, your investment is welcomed in terms of fossil fuel production, and we can guarantee